Hey everybody, I am Marcus D'Angelo, and I'm joined by my slapdick brother Dominic D'Angelo of WrestleZone.com, and he's already thrown up the deuces, baby. Deuces. We are two Dynamite Dudes.
Two? How many?
Oh my God, two of us,
You gotta
Dominic.
say it. Just say it. Really animated, Marcus. How many?
Two of them.
Yes!
As opposed to last week when we were three Dynamite Dudes, when we were joined
Right.
by the great Kev Kellum. But yeah, so this week we're two Dynamite Dudes again, and we are talking everything and all things Dynamite. Dominic, how's it going?
Good, man. Is this our first episode of the new year, or was it the new year already last time we recorded?
No, it was New Year's Eve last time. So yeah, this is the first pod of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, two Dynamite Dudes, 2021.
Wow. Well, Marcus, what a way to start off this episode here by pulling up a plaque that I got in 1997 for baseball, where I was the heart and desire and determination was an inspiration to all of us during the 1997 Cliffy's baseball season. Champions, Marcus. Champions.
I'm having a hard time seeing the relevance of that when it comes to our wrestling.
Well, here
podcast.
it is, Marcus. Here it is. John Cena's quote, very own quote, never, ever give up. Okay? Cliffy's team and coaches, 1997 Major League champions. You're welcome, everybody. Look at that.
Wow. Hey, good for you, Dominic. I'm quite sure that nobody gives a fuck. But I'll tell you what I did give a fuck about this week, Dom. And hey, first of all, great shirt.
Hey, thanks. Yes, Marcus, you know me. I kind of don't wear a whole lot of wrestling shirts, but I figured, Brody Lee, they were doing the Pro Wrestling Tees giveaway, where it was not giveaway, but selling all the tees and all the benefits went to Brody Lee. So I bought this baby. Dog collar match, man. So,
that is a tremendous shirt. I love it. And man, what a great match that was. And what a great match we had in the main event of Dynamite. I'm talking about, of course, Kenny Omega and Rey Fénix. Dominic, this one, I had mixed emotions going into this, and still due to a very small degree, but I mean, there's no denying it. That was a crazy good performance, and that match, even at the beginning, it had a big match feel.
Really did, and I think, Rey Fénix has been a tag team wrestler for the most part in AEW, so him getting to show off his skills by himself again, like he did with Nick Jackson months ago and stuff. I thought, wow, it's you want to see a match that was freaking crazy and hard hitting, and people can kind of, go at, they're doing all it's all the same, bulky, nothing makes sense. It was pretty hard hitting enough that it was a damn good match. And some of that stuff they did was just unbelievable. Rey Fénix is just on a whole nother level, just completely another level. It's insane, man.
And he's one of those guys who's his look, his gear, his look, all of it, it's very eye-catching. So Rey Fénix, I can really see him being a major star in any promotion, just because, I mean, not only the athleticism, but he's just got a cool look. He sells pretty well. I think he could be a major player. It's watching that, Dominic. It had a lot of the same vibes as a super competitive ping pong match. That's you know what I mean? Where both guys were going in super confident. Both are incredibly skilled, and it's all right, who's just gonna which one of these guys is gonna manage to outdo the other one?
I'm gonna say it's less of a intense ping pong match, more like Agassi versus Pete Sampras or something like that.
Yeah, it's I think ping pong is a little bit more apropos. There's a little bit more speed there, and that's certainly what we saw here was speed. One of the things that I told my wife, because she was there watching it with me, and by the way, she found the whole thing to be very amusing. But so one of the things I told her, I was like, so to me, this match kind of epitomizes simultaneously everything that's really cool about modern wrestling and some of the things that aren't so cool about modern wrestling or a little bit frustrating about modern wrestling. And by that, I mean, what's cool is the incredible, unmatched athleticism and moves, stuff that you will go ahead and go back and watch any matches from the 90s. You won't find it.
No.
But sometimes when you're trying to make all those high spots happen, you lack psychology. And I think that there was some lacking of psychology here. So like I said, just like in a ping pong match, you don't have the psychology. It's not like you're feeling these moments with these guys, and it's like, oh, here's my crazy counter move, here's your crazy counter move. It's like, no, they're just going as fast and hard as they can. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how these modern day matches feel. So psychology gets sacrificed a little bit. But let me say, Dominic, I as much as I like to beat that drum, this was one hell of a match. Very entertaining.
Yeah. And like I initially had a favorite match of the night before that one, but I mean, there was no way I could argue against that match as being the match of the night. It was really, really good. And I need to actually go back and watch it again because I missed some of those spots. Like there was a moment where Ray Phoenix did a kip up and then super kicked him or something. I like missed that. So, and I heard that was
go back and watch that. But man, one of the things that I thought was the craziest was Ray Phoenix did a backflip off the top rope into a German suplex.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, dude, I was like, I rewound it. I was like, I have to watch that again. And then they wound up showing the replay, but I was just like blown away by it. That was a very cool move.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. And I thought, I know I'm sure we're talking about this next, but like how it played into the storyline coming up afterwards was a pretty good setup too, where they were going to try to finish Don Callis, the used car salesman, as Moxley called him earlier in the night, wanted Kenny to finish Ray Phoenix off with another one wing angel or V trigger. So, but then we got what happened. So.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it, man. So Jon Moxley comes out and does the save for Ray Phoenix, and who snuffs that flame out but the Good Brothers of Impact Wrestling, the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. What names were they known by in WWE? I think Carl Anderson.
They were still the same. Carl Anderson was Carl Anderson, and then Doc Gallows was Luke Gallows. So
used to be Festus, though, right?
He used to be Festus, correct.
Just like, two guys who are like, I mean, those two are old school wrestlers to the bone, I think. I mean, that being said, they still do their fun stuff when it comes, like, what is that thing called that they do?
Talkin' Shopomania?
Yes, that's it. So they still do, they can still appreciate some of the fun ways that the wrestling
Ferguson.
The fun and annoying.
Too bad Chad with the best laugh in wrestling.
Occasionally annoying ways that wrestling is involved. But I mean, those guys, like, there's some, I think at their core, they're a couple like old school wrestlers. Yeah. And so, I mean, dude, what an appearance. What a debut. And we sort of called it, there's going to be a lot of crossover between Impact and AEW. So we're getting it now. But then, like, what's the real lead here, Dom? Is it the debut of the Good Brothers, or is it the Young Bucks aligning themselves with this group?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like, I think it's almost one and the same in together, because and I talked to this about Kev on the WrestleZone wrap up on Thursday, was it's going to be tough to kind of convey them as a faction, I think, in certain ways, because you got two tag teams there. So it's like, I think that's going to be a tough little bit of a balance, but I feel the Young Bucks.
Your phone is going insane.
I know. It's of all things, it's the WrestleZone chat interrupting.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I'd like to say it's Hollywood, but it ain't Hollywood.
They must know that we're recording and they're just excited.
They're really pumped for it. So
hey, I get it, man. I get it. Anyways, where were you?
I think the Young Bucks kind of cementing themselves as heels, I think, is a real big thing. And I think, Marcus, it kind of satisfies what we were very not too keen on for a while, was the Young Bucks acting like trash, and finally, like, it kind of comes to fruition, I think, in a lot of ways here with this.
I guess, like, they've done a bunch of babyface shit in the interim, though. So
but,
it's like,
Marcus, let me say too, and I use this example with Kevin, was that look at what happened to The Rock in 1998. He was getting billed as that big baby face coming up. People were getting behind him, and boom, pulls the rug out from everybody, and he's a bad guy. He joins.
I mean, we're talking apples and oranges, in my opinion, but I see what you're getting at. I'm just glad that we've arrived where we are. Because the Young Bucks, to me, they're natural heels. They should be heels. Especially because I don't know, maybe it's just how I feel about them as a tag team, which we'll get into when we talk about their match a little bit. But yeah, it's like I think that they are easy heels, with their whole EVP thing, and they talk about how they're EVPs all the time. It's like, hey, let's lean into that. Like, okay, if you guys got stroke in the company, why don't you use that stroke to screw over the other boys?
No, I don't like that. I think
I'm not, dude. I'm not talking about like some Eric Bischoff GM bullshit. I'm talking about like trying to leverage things to their advantage in tag matches.
no, I don't like that either because it's just like I kind of want that separation of like authority.
I don't think it exists. Like I agree, but I just don't think that is or is going to be a thing. I think they're very proud of the fact they're EVPs of a major company.
Well, maybe I don't know. That's something we gotta kind of wait and see on. I hope, ultimately, like I'd like them to just kind of keep that away and just embrace the fact that there's this new elite, this new version of the elite, and they want to run roughshod over several companies. I think that would be just a much better storyline to play in and not really flex their EVP muscles. Instead, I think I don't know. I think it just creates. You can really muddy the waters doing that, and I think it kind of like, it as much as you're not saying it's a heel authority thing. It's a heel authority thing when you boil it down, and I don't want to see that. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the big difference in the way that it could be a take on something that we haven't seen before is like, Eric Bischoff is a heel GM. He wasn't getting involved in matches. He was just screwing baby faces over. I don't know. It's something I think that they could play with. I don't necessarily. I'm with you. I think that if we in like ideal world, they never even mention it their EVPs ever again. But I just don't see that being the case. But hey, while we're talking about the Young Bucks, we might as well talk about their match. Open the show. Dude, let me say, Max Caster's freestyle was his best yet.
That was good.
that was money. I love that he's referencing WWE and John Cena and stuff. Like, man, he's just killing it. He had a Marty Jannetty reference out there, which
that was very clever.
So yeah, I mean, he's just the dude is money. Yeah, and then with the match itself, I mean, to me, it was just like your typical Bucks match. You're getting exactly what you get every single time. We're gonna have some coordinated moves. We're gonna have super kicks out the ass. Matt Jackson's gonna have some incredibly phony intensity on his face and not sell shit. Like at this point, like if this is a shoot, you could hit him with a fucking bus, and 10 minutes later he's popping up and he's like super kicking somebody. You know what I mean? So it's like nothing. Like Sledgehammer, Triple H couldn't take this guy out with his sledgehammer, Dom.
I thought about what you were saying when I saw that, and for this time I gave him a pass because I looked at it. It's a hot tag. You make the hot tag, you're gonna have a guy come in and run roughshod over people. So
he did it all match. What are you talking about, hot tag?
It was the hot tag when it really started happening. I didn't see it all match.
I don't know, dude. I'm sticking by what I said. And for those of you who may have missed it, the point here is that you've got a smaller talent, a talented guy, no question about it, but a smaller talent by comparison to many of the people that he matches up.
Uh-oh, you're frozen. Frozen. Uh-oh. Look at that beautiful, look at that beautiful mug. We lost Marcus here, but I know he's going to come. Oh, there he is. Hello.
Yeah, you were frozen for a second. It says that my internet connection is unstable, which is weird. That's
you're never happened here, so that makes sense.
Hey, you watch it, bub. Mm-hmm. But what were you saying? Because we had a little glitch there.
Yes, we did. You were talking about larger size wrestlers like Matt being a credible talent, but he still had to, like, he's going up against larger guys and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, like when you go up against larger guys, you sell. You get over by selling. You get the other guy over by selling, and he doesn't. He doesn't sell enough. Like, yes, he will sell occasionally because he has to, but yeah, it's I don't know. He would stand to benefit, and so would his opponents if he would sell more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. We talked about that last week too. I think, yeah, ultimately that's the thing to do. Um, I did think it was a great opener, though. I don't really necessarily have a big problem with those. It's starting off like that. Like, I thought, you had those, you had the Acclaimed, and you had TH2 in there, and good commentary going around with Jericho doing everything too. I think it just was a very, very nice way to amp up the show to start things off. And I love the finisher. I loved Daniels coming off at the best moonsault ever into the Meltzer driver. I thought that was a sweet ass finish. So
Yeah, and initially, my opinion was that it was an unnecessary loss for the Acclaimed in TH2. In that, to me, why not? It's a non-title match. Why not put over these younger talents in the Acclaimed or the Hybrid by having them get a pinfall? I mean, have him pin Christopher Daniels. He doesn't mind doing the job. If the Bucks are, if they're going to be Road Warrior Bucks, then they don't have to get pinned. But given the way that the night ended, though, I think that the Bucks needed a win. So I understand that more now, but at the time I was like, why not put them over? Like it doesn't hurt anything to put younger talent over, especially in a non-title match. Have them cheat. Have them cheat. It doesn't hurt you. You know what I mean? But again, now that they ended the program the way that they did, I'm like, okay, well that's why.
that's fine. Yeah. Now it's going to be interesting, okay? And we didn't talk about this part. Who do you see them ultimately feuding with the new elite here, and where do you want to see it go?
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the issue, isn't it? Because I like you've got the inner circle and they're all heels, so it's like okay, let's rule them out. FTR, who I thought were going to get a return tag team title match. Nope,
They
because
still
they're
do one,
heels.
right?
Sure you can, but why would you now? You've got two heel tag teams.
Yeah, sure. Mhm.
So I guess they're out. So I don't know. It's maybe we're gonna get things shaken up a little bit here. I mean, probably ultimately, I mean, we're looking at Darby Allin. I would guess maybe Sting will get involved there. Moxley. So like
You got Lucha Brothers. You got oh gosh, who else was there? That
a Pac.
well, Pac, yeah. So I think the elite set themselves up pretty nicely for some like NWO versus WCW counterparts in regards to like because you have Moxley, you have Sting, you have Cody at some point. Like I think Cody should be teased a little bit down the road further because like he's got his those former elite ties and everything. Hangman Page, you have him kind of befriending the Dark Order, who's on a babyface route. Um, I think there's going to be some pretty cool options that they can really mix it up with, and create some intriguing feuds going forward. Plus, you got the heels of the Kingston family, so you have Pac and the Lucha Brothers maybe going up against them, the Death Triangle. So that's still in the play. Lance Archer's a factor coming, I'm sure, at some point here too. So it's like finding all those guys at some point will really work. I think they're set up very nicely, and it creates that unknown, but also the intrigue of it. And what you want in wrestling is like, oh, what's going to happen next? We don't know yet. So,
and Dom, you and I have spoken before about the intrigue of Marvel Civil War.
yes,
And theoretically, you could have something like that going on where you've got the elite and all their cronies coming over from Impact, possibly, and then these guys who are diehard AEW, like, no, like what you guys are doing are wrong. So like you could have something interesting like that going on. And could ultimately result in what would be a pretty interesting pay-per-view. You simply call the pay-per-view AEW versus Impact. So it's like you've got some pretty neat options there. So let's see how they decide to work it. I mean, so far so good. I enjoy the angle.
yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. I thought it felt big, really big. So that's what you want to have across. And dude, like I just thought the show, I know we'll cover, your thoughts on the show and everything. Overall, this was a really good show, I thought, too. So
I agree. I agree. And one of the guys that we mentioned here briefly is Jon Moxley, and he came out with a pretty hellacious promo.
Yeah, I actually want to pull that up because I did the coverage, obviously. So I recapped the promo here. So let me read that first, if I can find it here. Okay, yeah. Okay. After the breakout comes Moxley. He says they may expect him to cuss up a storm about the events that transpired on December. Bitching and moaning is a waste of time, and this is an unforgiving sport. I really like that line. All you can do is endure and take it on the chin. You plant your feet in the ground, you stare down adversity, and you don't look down and back. You don't back down an inch. What to do about Kenny Omega and his used car salesman looking friend? His initial solution would beat them to a bloody pulp with a crowbar. But tonight, the AEW title is on the line, and he's all about upholding the honor of that belt. Ray Phoenix has worked hard 13 years to get to where he is, so he's not going to meddle in that business. Mox will forever be in Kenny's blind spot. One day he will look into the eyes of the devil, and Kenny will beg for mercy when he realizes he crossed the wrong guy. So it was a great promo. It was really, really good.
It was. I mean, he has consistently nailed his promos every single time. So I mean, Jon Moxley, you could make the argument that he was perfectly placed as the number one in PWI. Because he's just like, he is on fire. And let me say, man, I want to see 3 more main event pay-per-view matches between he and Kenny Omega. Like I like. Let's let this program really play out. I mean, we can have a couple title switches. Who cares? Like,
just have him start, like, tag up with somebody that Moxley finds a buddy, whether it's like a Lance Archer or somebody to go up against Kenny Omega and one of the elite members there or something like that. I think you can set something up, create some cool stuff there. Or maybe Kenny recruits somebody that is unhappy at Impact and get somebody big there or somebody. I don't know, but I think or heck, they mentioned New Japan a shit ton on this show. So I mean, bring somebody there. I don't know.
I mean, and yeah, if they're open for business and they're talking about like Impact, New Japan, clearly NWA, like things could get super interesting over there.
Yeah. Lots of brands coming in, and I think there's nothing wrong with that either, because it just creates this territory kind of style of vibe going across the wrestling business and on a mainstream television product like AEW. So I think it's just a really, really cool setup. But yeah, Moxley, man, just amazing. Like, one of the best promos in the business, if not the best. Like, he's just very at the top of his game right now.
He seems very comfortable with the mic in his hand, and he does really well every time. Like, you can always count on him to have a quality promo.
Absolutely, 100%, man. It was it was quick, but it was one of my favorite segments of the night, to be honest.
Another guy who is absolute money as far as I'm concerned is Wardlow, Dominic, and he came out in a match against Jake Hager. Like, man, what a look Wardlow has. Like, he looks like $1 million, big as a house, moves really well. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dominic, but so the promo format they had as it was just a really interesting promo format for Wardlow, where it's as he's coming to the ring, they do like the little box on the screen. Like, that was some very old school stuff, and I thought it was really cool. But something else I thought was interesting was that was a very babyface promo that Wardlow gave. And I'm like, what's going on here? Because this Inner Circle should not be delivering any babyface promos, and that was your white meat babyface classic promo as he's coming down to the ring.
Well, here's the thing. I think this plays again into almost like, the Bucks being like those heels and us questioning why they're doing this and what the hell's going on. But like, you look back when MJF was running his like candidacy campaign kind of thing, who was he healing on but Wardlow, and like kind of like flexing his leverage over him, like, hey, you work for me and everything like that. And like kind of like Wardlow just like kind of giving him the eye, but like knowing like, okay, I can't do anything. He's right. That kind of thing. So I think it's like you've had these set up for Wardlow as a babyface, and like there's to have that like in MJF assimilating himself more so further into the inner circle, and Wardlow proving his mettle in the match with Hager. I think it just sets another pretty cool dynamic between the inner circle going on coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, yeah, I can totally buy into that babyface promo, and I liked it a lot. You know, I thought it played into the story of the match very well, and this was gonna be my match of the night, and it was simply because like it was different. Like they did the big man stuff, and this was like I thought they complemented one another very well. Like I was listening to Meltzer and Brian Alvarez on the WrestleZone radio, not WrestleZone, on the Wrestling Observer radio, and they're saying like Meltzer is noting how like green Wardlow still is and stuff like that. I don't pick up on that stuff too much, honestly. So I just really liked it. I thought he was great, and I thought that F10 at the end was amazing.
Well, yeah, like Jake Hager's he's such like a long, heavy looking guy that it's like it doesn't look like anybody should be able to do that to him. So it was cool getting to see Wardlow, Hulk up on him and get it done. And so I don't know what necessarily Meltzer was referring to when he calls him green, but there is like one area where I did have an issue with the match, and that's it. Like Wardlow, like he was alternating between working like a big guy and working like a small guy during the match. And so like I'm okay with like the showing his athleticism and doing like the swanton bomb and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but like there's some small examples, like there's small details, but it's like these small details they add up, so like they're running the ropes and Wardlow does a drop down. Jake Hager steps over him, then he does a leapfrog over him. And it's like big guys should not avoid contact. Like just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. Like if you're a big guy and you like theoretically your entire career you've been the biggest guy in the room, like it just from a psychology standpoint, it's like you wouldn't drop down. Like you wouldn't avoid contact. You'd say, okay, I'm big too. I'll put you on your ass. Like that should be the mentality. Like okay, you want to come at me? Like let's go. So like I'm not a big fan of big guys doing the leapfrog, especially a leapfrog that was poorly executed like he did. It's like
no, I thought it was bad. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know, but I was like up and down on my screen. So
he caught him a little bit and sort of like stumbled out of it.
Yeah.
Just didn't look good. And like I don't want to see it. And I don't know, maybe I'm behind the times. Like I know that it like certainly you can make the argument like it's entertaining to see a.
You want to hear my workaround of that? My workaround of that is
what's that?
Wardlow's mind fucking. So he's like, okay, Wardlow could power him down, but hey, if he leaps over him, what's gonna go in Jake Hager's mind when that happens? Like, that motherfucker just leaped over me, or like ducked under, just catches him off guard, like takes him off his laurel, so to speak. So there's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. It's like to me, it's just, and it's, again, I'm looking for more of like the psychology standpoint. It's like
there's psychology right there. Boom, mind fucking.
So like to me, the psychology is like, hey, you think you're big? I'm big too, man. I'll put you on your ass if you come at me. Like to me, that's a little bit more compelling than like, oh, I'm gonna screw with his head. He thinks we're gonna contact him. I'm gonna drop to the floor. It's like I don't know. To me, it's silliness. It's unnecessary. And so if Meltzer's calling that green, then I agree. Yeah, like if not knowing how to work as a big guy makes you green, then sure. But as far as like his ring skills, I think for the most part, Wardlow's he's polished and getting more polished every week.
Yeah, I know. I think well, that's what they said too. Now that you mentioned that, is like he needs to work. They want to like needs more matches. Essentially, is what he said. And like who doesn't need more matches during this time? Like wrestlers are so used to AEW's been a weekly show, but like so often these wrestlers would wrestle three to two times, like at least twice a week, and so when you're not doing live shows or you're working the indies or anything like that, it's a different thing where you're not in the ring as much. So but yeah, man, I liked it. And you know what? I really liked Hager and how he worked the match and post match too. Like I love the fist bump at the end with the two of them. And then the follow up later on between him and MJF, I thought was cool, where he's still fucking pissed that he lost the match, but he was like, "Hey, you know what? I appreciate you coming in here and like just give him a fist bump and shit like that." I thought it was cool shit.
Yeah. Well, and putting Wardlow over, by the way, was the correct choice.
Absolutely, yes.
Jake Hager's an established talent. He's already been up to New York and had success there. So why not put over this?
And he was pushing. He was pushing it. He was the initial instigator of this all. So like it made total sense for that to be the play that they did.
Yeah, it felt like the first step in Wardlow realizing his potential.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Dom. So another big segment, interesting segment. Let's talk about the weigh-in. Darby Allin and Brian Cage. Darby Allin is coming out, and like, let me say, like, those are a bunch of big dudes. Ricky Starks matches him pretty closely as far as physique, but aside from that, like, there's a bunch of big hulking dudes in the ring.
Yeah.
And then there's Darby Allin looking like when they said he weighs 170 pounds, I was like, there's no way. I was like, he weighs 145 soaking wet. But so like you could see all of that disparagement, and by the way, it's compelling. I'm not trashing him. Like, seeing a guy that's that small step into the ring, all he's got is a skateboard for his weapon.
Yeah.
A bunch of beefed up muscle heads in the ring, studs standing there with him. It's like, that's quite an image. And that was like the intrigue. It's like, hey, if this is a shoot, why aren't these guys just beating the crap out of him right now?
Yeah.
So like he steered into it. He grabbed his skateboard and he was ready to scuffle. And then of course the lights go out, snow starts falling, and here comes the stinger.
Yes, shows on up. And
yep.
Are you okay with it? Like, kind of them playing this, like, where he just keeps coming out, and, like, that's kind of it. Like, he scares Team Taz off. There's been like 2 or 3 weeks in a row this has been going on at least. So, what are your thoughts on that? Personally, I'm okay with it, but go ahead. What do you think?
I think we've gotten everything out of it that we can.
Yes, I do agree with that too. But
that's probably enough. You could accomplish as much with a pre-tape of like maybe these guys are coming after Darby Allin backstage or something, and Sting just comes behind and clocks one of them with like his bat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
hey, maybe we'll do some of that. But I think they need to get the wheels turning a little bit more with it. But I think doing it this week was A-okay still at this point, but it might be time to like kind of further some things along a little bit.
Let's stop. And then when Sting has his first match or makes like the sporadic in-person appearance, when that snow falling and the cool presentation, it'll mean a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, like, it's every week somebody's in peril. The lights go out, Sting appears, snow falls. It's like I'm still digging it just because I'm
it's like Sting.
I'm still marking out. I'm still marking out that Sting's there, but like, okay, like let's get a little more creative.
Now, what do you think of Darby's little promo there that he cut too? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I thought he did fine. And by the way, it sort of matched the situation in the ring where he's talking about like, I've been dealing with this crap for 27 years.
Yeah.
Basically like being bullied. And it's like, yeah, those guys look like they would bully you, like those guys do not understand the skateboard culture. They are not emo. You know what I mean? Like those guys will kick the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I thought it was perfectly appropriate.
The new belt looks pretty cool with the black strap to it.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. Now, Dom, here's a question for you: is like, okay, so Sting and Darby, they're basically a foregone conclusion as a tag team at this point. Like, we're probably going to see them wind up tag teaming in AEW. Who are the opponents? Like, which members of Team Taz are they tag teaming?
I think one's definitely going to be like Ricky Starks, and then I would say probably that's the tough one. Yeah, I guess it would be Brian Cage and Starks. I think those would be my 2 picks. What about you? What would you go with?
Yeah, I mean, Starks for sure. But then to me, it's a toss up between Cage and Hobbs. I mean,
here's why I would give it to Cage is Cage is more veteran presence, and like you want to protect Sting too. So I mean, like, I think you got to factor that in a little bit. Nothing against Powerhouse Hobbs at all, because I think he's great, but I think maybe having somebody that maybe can work a little bit more of a style, that's the kind of thing. That's what I'm curious about too. I think Yeah, obviously I think they're gonna tag, and I think Team Taz is a good start. I love Taz just kind of riffing and getting all petty about stuff. Like, hey, why's Cage got to weigh in first or whatever? Like, I thought that was funny. Like how he hated the snow, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
No, dude, Taz is great. He's
Yeah.
awesome on the mic. I like him trashing Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, again, they're Tony Khan is kind of nailing it. Like he's got some very compelling storylines top to bottom here, So like this was, I think this was one of the better episodes of Dynamite that I've seen.
Yeah, and let me say the flow of the show was really good. I thought like went in, weaved in and out. The pace kept going pretty well. Nothing was overwhelming, and they didn't like, it wasn't like hard to catch up on or anything like that. I thought it was a really well paced show out this evening or on Wednesday. So
No question about it. And then Dominic, we got to see a pop culture icon, Snoop Dogg, come out. Snoop Lou joining Cody Rhodes in his match against Matt Sydal. And let me say that Snoop's version of Cody's theme was a fucking banger.
You liked it, huh?
I thought it sounded great.
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool actually. And you know what? I enjoyed Snoop's presence on the show. Like, sometimes you have those celebrities that come out and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, or like they're like just kind of half-assing it. Like, but Snoop kind of has that charisma where he like kind of it plays into it, and I bought into it. I thought it was fine.
You say he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's cracking me up because he was using like the Waffle House menu, they call it.
Yeah.
And he was like covering his mouth.
Like he's a coach.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, but you don't have a microphone, dude. Like you're not wearing a headset, so like, what are you doing? It's not like Cody's wearing an earpiece.
Hey, but somebody you don't know, there could be a like one of the gun club could be a lip reader and like be throwing signs at Matt Sydal and they're telling him what's going on.
What does having a lip reader have to do with anything? It was covering his fucking mouth.
He's covering his mouth. That's why that's why he's covering his mouth, so he can't read his lips.
The gun club is with Cody, aren't they?
I used them as a fucking joke example. All right, they're the first people. Serpentico, is that better?
Well, yeah, to me, it's like obviously it's just silly fun. Is a good way to promote the show. So I thought it was good. The match itself, they had some mistimed spots, which is not what I was expecting to see. We got a couple pretty polished veteran talents there.
You love Matt Sydal too, so.
I love Matt Sydal. I love Cody. But I'm the first to admit when I see even the guys that I like screw up, and there were a few times there during the match, but for the most part, it was well paced. Both guys looked like $1 million. Matt Sydal, as you said, I think the dude is money, and let me say, first ever AEW Cruiserweight champion. Why not?
There you go. There it is. You missed.
So I gotta get my shit in, Dom. Yeah.
No, and you know what? I can't remember who I was looking at when I saw. Golly, who was it? I was seeing that, and I was like, you know what? I'm more and more with the cruiserweight title getting introduced. I really do think it makes sense now, and I think it would be a good move. Introduce.
Well, we know that Tony Khan listens because he ripped off my Abadon biting people situation.
Yeah, we got to talk about that too.
Yeah, so I think that he'll probably wind up pulling the trigger on the cruiserweight title. Last thing I want to say about this match, Tom. Snoop obviously had maybe the worst splash in the history of professional wrestling. But let me say there was something worse that happened in this segment, and that was Serpentico overselling like a jabroni. That was awful.
What do you mean, like at the
so they got him down into position, right? For it was clearly a setup spot that Snoop is going to splash somebody.
Yeah.
So they get him down into position, and he's like laying on his back, and he's like reaching up, like I just can't get out of the I can't move out of the way of this, and he's like just reaching and like just lay there, dude. That's all you have to do. Yeah. You don't have to be like struggling to turn over like a turtle that's on its back. So like I'm like just lay there, like just be like your back hurts, you can like squirm a little bit, like you know what I mean?
Back.
Yeah, like you can sell like a regular human would sell.
Take it from the Joey Janela school book of selling.
Oh Jesus! Yes, you said I just said the word jabroni, and you brought up the guy whose face comes up in the dictionary.
Jeez. Did you see?
Hey,
By the way, did you see that thing about Joey Janela getting some DMs on Twitter about like, hey, I got my picture with you in the elevator.
I think it was funny. Like I rag on him, but I kind of like Joey Janela.
I do. I like Joey Janela.
Yeah, I like giving him shit, just like I do with Evil Uno. But hey, man, I'm playing a heel here. All right, we gotta have some entertainment, folks. Let's not take it too seriously. Speaking of not taking things seriously, Abadon bit the hell out of Sheeta.
Jeez. I was wondering what the hell was happening when she pulled her under the ring. I was like, is she coming back? What's happening here? And then like Abadon comes out with blood on her mouth, and then they're like, okay, she's dead under there. I don't know what's going on.
Seems like a lot of blood.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of blood. And like, and then Sheeta climbs out. She's like bleeding. I'm like, what? And Jericho's like, why aren't they stopping the match?
He even said like during the main event, like JR was complaining that Omega and Phoenix were on the outside for too long, and Jericho was like, the ref probably should have stopped the match when Abadon was biting Sheeta.
Marcus, we got to talk about this too. It was in the opener. I don't know if you caught it, but Excalibur called like this move, like this crazy fucking move. Like I'd never heard of it. What this match was, this move was called, and JR is just like, "What?"
Yes. Dude, if I have to hear him say "Tope Suicida" or "Tope Con Hero" one more time, I'm just gonna throw something through my TV.
Oh, it was like a crucifix move that like he jazzed up. Oh, it was like a crucifix submission hold that like I think Angelico had on somebody.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that moment, and I remember JR going like, "Huh?
What?"
Oh my god, dude! Like, it's just like, shut off his mic. He can still sit there and collect a paycheck, but just shut his mic off without telling him.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know what? For what it is too, I just do kind of enjoy that whole dynamic because like JR is just like, you know, he's the old school Mid-South guy that's like fucking, you know, talking to the cowboy Bob Watts, and here we go with
Bill Watts, Dom. Come on now.
Oh, Bill Watts. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking Bob Orton.
You know, it's got to be weird for JR going from that. You know, that was like, you know, the whole like era where they would like, you know, if a fan jumped a rail, they'd take him backstage and kick the crap out of him. And
Yeah.
like, you know, it was like this super different era in pro wrestling. And then he's got this fucking jabroni in a mask next to him.
JR's like pulling knowledge from Danny Hodge here, and then
right. Right, and then you've got Excalibur marking out because he took a road trip with Eddie Kingston once. But yeah, so again, folks, I like ragging on people. I think Excalibur is fine as a human, just not as an announcer. But
okay, but your thoughts on the Abadon match overall? Did you like it? Did you like the presentation of it? What was your whole input? Because you've been a big Abadon advocate.
So. Well, I think that Abadon is what Sheeta needed, because Sheeta is just like she's just kind of been like there so far. It's like I think she's like a fine, like okay worker, but she just like, you know, there just wasn't much going on with her, and Abadon sort of forced her to be a little bit more intense. I think, especially during this match, you know, you really raise the stakes when a motherfucker's trying to bite you.
Right.
You know,
I mean, you're fighting for survival here, not just the title.
Yeah, and so like she was not just fighting, but also trying to defend herself from being bitten the entire time. Because like Abadon would like grab her arm and go like and she like have to find a way out of that situation.
I'm curious now from a kayfabe standpoint how Tony Khan got her to sign a contract. Like,
yeah, I mean, like when you're sitting down with a human like that, that's gotta, you know. Again, if it's a shoot.
Yeah, I'm gonna slide this. It's like sliding it under a door for her or something.
Yeah, I'm picturing like a Hannibal Lecter situation where he's in like this cube and he like slides it through like this little slide. He's like, if you just want to sign that there,
Mind doing that there?
give it back to me and then excuse yourself from the room, please. Yeah, but no, I really like Abadon. Unique is an understatement. I mean, I want to see more. I want to see more of her. Here's the question though, Dom, is, like, yes, I think that Sheeta benefited from that. I think that Abadon benefited by getting TV time. So whoever goes over, not that big of a deal. So it's fine that Abadon took the L. But now, where do you go with Abadon? I mean, if you're not going to go in the direction, Tony, that I've been talking about this whole time, where she enchants Luchasaurus and murders Marco Stunt, then what exactly are you going to do?
I thought we agreed upon him being also enchanted by Abadon.
Yeah, but like first she rips him in half and he's off TV for a little bit, but then he comes back and he's got like stitches.
Okay. Huh. All right. Yes.
She doesn't rip him in half though. It's Luchasaurus. And actually, instead of ripping him I really wanted to say this with a straight face. Instead of ripping him in half, you have like Luchasaurus come up behind him. And you got to do like a jump cut though. You got to be really quick and you got to have like a really good like wax head. Right. You have him come up behind him and just squeeze his head, and that's when the jump cut comes in and his head just blows up. Right?
like Gak.
Yeah, you got like blood and crap flying everywhere.
I want like actual Gak, like from.
You want like the greenish material. Yeah, but then everybody's like, what the hell was Marco Stunt? Clearly not human. That material doesn't come out of normal people's heads. But so he's off TV for a couple weeks, recovering from having his head exploded.
Okay.
But then he comes back and he's got like a Frankenstein situation. I don't know. We really got something here.
Yeah, it's like sports like feel, right?
Hey, I'm trying to tap into the reality of wrestling, Dominic.
Mm-hmm. I can tell. I mean, showing your affection for the horror genre. So
yeah, no, I don't know. To me, it's it feels like Luchasaurus is spinning his tires. Marco Stunt, I think it's cool what they're doing with Brody Jr. So let's stay the course on that for a little bit. But following that, let's think about killing him for a little bit, then bringing him back.
You want to hear my suggestion? My wonderful suggestion?
Sure.
They're tied with Impact. Who was on Impact but the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell? You get him.
Ooh, yes.
You get him. And he enchants them all. And there you go. You got this fucking brood like this series of like creatures and misfits and all that stuff.
And who is the girl who was killed on Impact according to storyline?
Well, Allie was killed on Impact. So the bunny.
Bring her in as like a zombie.
No, she's with the Butcher and the Blade. It's fine.
Like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Shit.
So, but you got Rosemary. Rosemary is on Impact. And
you gotta bring her in. Absolutely.
Then you have who's the other one? Oh, there's Sue Young. So they James Mitchell just converted her to a businesswoman named Susan. So there's that too. I don't know. I just think you can really incorporate James Mitchell in on that, and you would flourish as that. And like you have Abadon, you got fucking Luchasaurus, you got Marco Stunt,
Rosemary, zombie Marco Stunt. I mean, to me, this is a layup of an angle.
Right. I think you could really go.
And mostly I'm joking about murdering Marco Stunt.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Well, like clearly it's all storyline, even if we were considering this. But aside from like the whole like joking about killing other people on the program, I think it's a cool and compelling angle. Like if you bring like let's cut the Marco Stunt stuff out. Of course, we're not going to tear him in half on TV. Let's just not involve him in the angle. But like you've got Luchasaurus, you've got Rosemary, you've got Abadon. Like that's a cool stable led by what's his face there?
Father James Mitchell.
Yeah,
Minister.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll bring in that guy who used to be a vampire and sells real estate now out in Minnesota. What's his name? Kevin Thorne. Yeah.
Would he sell houses to? Would that still be part of his gimmick that he's a
that would also be
real
part of
estate
it.
vampire?
He'd like bite somebody's neck, and then they'd have a moment where he's like, "Now look, if you're interested in buying a house in the greater Minneapolis area, hey, how about Gangrel? Bring his big ass back in for a little bit, make a couple of shots. He's already made an appearance on the program. Let's bring him in.
There's somebody else you can bring in there too. I would like to see
the Boogeyman.
Nah, he's too WWE. I'm saying you can bring in like, how about Stevie Richards as Dr. Stevie, or yeah, that's an Impact thing. Mikey Whipwreck. You can bring Mikey Whipwreck in. I'd like that.
Absolutely. How about Scream Queen?
Oh, Daphne.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. Nurse Daphne. Wasn't she Nurse Daphne? And it was Dr. Stevie. Was that what it was?
I'm not sure how a doctor and nurse fit into the whole, group of people who are
but you can buy into a zombie Marco stunt. And you can't
biting motherfuckers on the neck. But, we'll figure it out, Dom.
Real estate vampire. You bought into a real estate vampire, but you can't buy into a nurse and a doctor.
Well, it's, zombies and vampires. I just don't see a place for a doctor and a nurse in there.
Well, I mean, Dr. Frankenstein, they could be assembling Marco stunt back together. If that's...
You're really jumping the shark with my angle here, Dominic. I also wanted to mention, though, that Tay Conti, she had a nice little promo where she mentioned that she's a black belt in judo. Black belt in judo, why is she
Blue belt,
I think. Whatever color of belt, why is she not feuding with Thunder Rosa? That feels like an E.
Marcus, there's fucking time for that. Jeez.
What do we wait? Why are we spinning our tires here? Let's get her in there.
Well, she's in a feud with Britt Baker, you clown.
What? Who is? I thought
Thunder
the other
Rosa.
chick was. I don't know what's going on.
Have you not watched the program, Marcus?
I don't remember. They show Britt Baker once every fucking 4 weeks. How am I supposed to keep up with this?
No, she's on there once a week.
I don't rember seeing her before.
She went and cut a promo about Big Rig. She said,
okay. All right. Yeah, never mind. We hammer on. That's it. That's all I've got.
That's all you got? Okay.
That's the whole.
Jeez, am I gonna have to take this over here? Look at this.
That was pretty much the whole program, wasn't it?
No, we got some little things. How about what'd you think about Matt Hardy in the private party?
Oh,
with Snoop too.
Oh yeah. I thought it was fine. That again feels like something that right now it feels directionless. Who knows?
I don't know, dude. I kind of like it. I like Matt Hardy kind of being a marketer almost, and really swindling these guys. I think it's a very good direction for him actually right now. So, and I like that he tricked them. He actually got them to sign contracts, because they're just new guys and they're like, okay, hey, we trust you. They had their suspicions, but they're like, all right, Matt, let's we'll roll with you. So I think it's, I think it sets it up for something at least. So
I guess, I just want to see Matt Hardy stick with what's going on, because he comes in and he's like the crazy wild-haired Matt Hardy, and then he's like normal Matt Hardy for a little bit. Then he goes back and he's like fighting some dude on his ranch, shooting bazookas at him or something, and then he's like a used car salesman.
Yeah. I think they got a lane for it. I think this is where we're going with it now. Yeah, I think they're finally settling in. This did not feel like Matt Hardy's snake bitten and he doesn't have a direction. It feels like he's got a direction now. I'm happy with it. It's like, yeah, let's keep it rolling. That's my thoughts.
All right. Well, I mean, let's see where it goes. As of right now, I'm giving it a solid D.
D? You said it was fine.
That angle gets a D. No, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, Matt Hardy's run has been pretty abysmal so far. Directionless.
I think it's a good change of pace here.
Well, let's find out. I'm not putting a lot of faith in that situation.
All right, Mark. Here's another thing you can. I'm sure you love. Was the Chuck Taylor with Orange Cassidy and them interacting with Miro there. What's say you?
I'm glad you brought that up. Finally, we get some stakes where Miro is going to treat Chuck Taylor like a young boy if he loses to him. So I think that's kind of interesting. Where basically he's just young boys traditionally in Japan, I guess they they kind of do favors for the older guys who help them out. They'll mow their lawn for him or whatever. So like
a gopher.
Right, exactly. So looks like, obviously Miro's going to go over to further his angle with Orange Cassidy. So it'll be interesting seeing Chuck Taylor, doing what probably he should have been doing in the first place as a profession, and that's some landscaping.
Wow, very disrespectful.
I'm sorry, I got to do my heel thing. I think he's fine.
What were you okay with how he just accepted? Like he's like, hey, just go away from me. Okay, I accept. Just get away from me.
I mean, like seems weird, especially because Miro's an absolute beast of a man. And you're like, oh, what's that? You want to fight me? And if I lose, I become like your manservant. Sounds good. Let's do it. So I don't know. To me, it's a little bit weird. But let me say, it finally added some stakes. Where like before the stakes were, hey, you broke my fucking video game paddle.
Yeah.
So you break my shit. So yeah, I'm glad that we've actually got some kind of stakes here. And let me say, man, I really like Miro. I like him a lot, and I hope that we've got a bright future with him, because I mean he's got everything you want.
Now, will this lead? This is my prediction. Will this lead to Chuck Taylor being the ring bearer for Kip and Penelope's wedding?
That's a good point, and probably.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're building toward, is it not? This whole thing, it's all building toward. It's building toward a big old aha moment where Orange Cassidy is at the wedding ruining it.
Yes, I agree with you there. Let me see. I feel like we missed something.
But I don't think so, dude. I mean, we've got FTR. They're about to feud with Jurassic Express. So we're gonna put the greatest tag team in the world in there with jabronis, except for Jungle Boy. I love Jungle Boy. I'm glad he's gonna be involved in that. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. You've got two big beefy, like, manly men type guys in FTR, and it's like you've got Marco Stunt. It's like, man, they're probably gonna beat the crap out of him in that match.
Yeah.
So I think it could get pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I'm very invested in that, because I feel you had that juxtaposition of Marco Stunt versus FTR. So,
and FTR is old school guy. They're both really old school guys. They have old school mentality, and like the old school thing back in the day was like, if you're a little guy and you're hitting me, I'm not going to sell for you unless like basically you force me to sell for you. So it could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it could be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me ask you this: if you could, you're not super familiar with the Impact product, but and I kind of already know your answer. If you could pick Impact
Myers, Dominic.
Yeah, I know. And he just signed a contract. Did you just say? Did you see that? Uh-huh. He just signed a contract with Impact.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I thought he had a contract with Impact.
I thought he did too, but I guess this was like a super duper one or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's, to me, based on what I've seen there, I think he's the guy with the highest ceiling in all of Impact, where it's like, man, this guy's like, he's a pro's pro when it comes to pro wrestling.
You haven't seen Chris Bay. You haven't seen
Chris Bay is the champion, correct?
No, he's the X Division champion.
Oh, okay.
No, he's not the X Division champion. He was the X Division champion. World champ is Rich Swann, and then also Willie Mack. I love Willie Mack.
Oh yeah, I like Willie Mack a lot. So I'd love to see him on the program.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool for Moxley to bring in to tag up with against like the Bucks and like Willie Mack or somebody like that. I think that'd be fucking bad.
Yeah, I think we really got to pick and choose though who comes in. Where like we're gonna have almost like an NWO situation, like a hostile takeover, sort of an angle here, and we don't need to be bringing VK Wall Street in on this. Like let's stick with Six and Hall and Nash and like the main guys,
the main fellas,
right?
Fellas. Okay, Marcus, we're gonna do the draft next week. We'll continue to pick it back up, and you'll have that pick, right? You have the pick coming up here.
I have the next pick, my last pick, and I couldn't be more proud of it. Is the great Brody Lee. So super happy to have him on my squad. And yeah, so the next pick is mine, and Dom, it is a doozy.
A doozy.
I don't know who I'm picking next. I have to go look at the roster.
I like that strategy.
It will be a doozy.
It will be, I promise you. Marcus, what Marcus's Meltzer rating? What is it, hey?
So my Meltzer rating this week, I don't know for sure if it's the highest or not thus far, but I think it is 8.8, Dom.
I think you gave one a show that one already. I think that was your highest before, so you tied your highest.
Tied my highest. Yeah, I mean the only real weakness I thought was some of the silliness there at the beginning. With like, just like your typical Young Bucks match, just not my thing. So like to me that was one of the only weaknesses that the program had for the most part. They were buzzing and clicking, dude.
Yeah. We didn't talk. We touched a little bit about this too. Jericho on commentary overall. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean Jericho always kind of nails it, and I recently I've noticed that he's kind of like pulling back the curtain a little bit, because he talks about he made mention of bump card on the program, and he's kind of gimmicks, so he's sort of like using insider smart lingo. So like I think that's cool, and I think it's interesting, and he ultimately, I think the best booth that you could possibly have, like let's say Jericho retires from in-ring action, I think the best case scenario would be Jericho, Shivani, and JR.
That's a solid booth right there because Jericho fits that like Bobby Heenan role almost very well.
That very well said. I think that he fits in there perfectly.
Yeah.
And then you've got Guerrilla Monsoon and Vince McMahon.
Will you stop?
Which I think in this case the Vince McMahon in that scenario is Shivani.
No.
JR.
Well, I guess
JR is a little bit more like the old curmudgeon Monsoon.
Yeah, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah.
Interesting.
Marcus,
hey, congrats to Tony Schiavone. He won an award for best commentator of the year.
Yeah, how about that from Inside the Ropes?
He is probably the best in the business right now. I love Schiavone.
I think the genuine love and appreciation and just happiness he has, and seeing him be happy makes me really happy, and I think makes fans happy in general because he's a positive spirit in pro wrestling.
He's everybody's Uncle Tony.
It is. You can't be Uncle Tony. You can't.
Uncle Noah.
You know what? If I remember, I have a Tony Schiavone shirt I'm gonna wear next week.
You have a what?
I have a Tony Schiavone shirt I'll wear next week. If I remember.
I think you should.
Okay, I will. Marcus, this is a complete aside, but we spoke of Guerrilla Monsoon. Did you see what Guerrilla Monsoon's backstory was? Did you see my tweet?
No.
All right. So, Bobby Davis, one of the first like modern kind of wrestling managers, passed away this week. I think I want to say he was 88 or something like that. So rest in peace. But one of the first people he managed was Guerrilla Monsoon. And the backstory he gave for Guerrilla Monsoon was he went to the island or something of Manchuria and found this this giant man wading naked in a pool amongst the waters. And sure enough, this is Guerrilla Monsoon, and he could not. This beast of a man was afraid of flying, so he had to ship him over in a boat. So that's how we got Guerrilla Monsoon in World Wrestling Federation.
Now, flash forward and picture Guerrilla Monsoon with like his Jersey accent or whatever, naked, wading through water. Like what the hell is that?
There's a cigarette dangling out of his mouth. I saw him like an old image of him like in his Guerrilla Monsoon, like his like prime area of when he was like still a wrestler. He was like signing autographs for kids with like a cigarette dangling out of his mouth and like, massive chops. He's just like, all right.
Yeah, he was. I know, like his actual backstory is he was a legit badass wrestler, like amateur wrestler, like could probably stretch just about anybody, and just happened to be an absolute monster of a man.
Yeah.
So Guerrilla Monsoon, man, what an original of a human.
There's so much originality back in wrestling, like where it's just like, look at these look at these guys. You got all these characters, and like that's what I love. That's what I love about that old wrestling stuff is like the crazy backstories that they came up with for these people. Like these like
Here's the other thing to really love about pro wrestling, guys, is that like we've all heard about that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's a very real thing in pro wrestling, and you can date that probably back all the way to like what's his name, Strangler Lewis or whatever.
yeah.
Like Strangler Lewis worked a guy who worked a guy who worked a guy who eventually worked Chris Jericho.
Right, that's what I was thinking was like Chris Jericho.
So like
Chris Jericho probably anybody.
all of these people are interconnected, and it's just, man, what a cool, interesting business.
Right, it's such a fascinating business. Like, and any way you look at it, like from just a casual fan standpoint, if you're like tuning in on a weekly basis, like, oh my god, look at that character, look at Wild Bull Courier or whoever it may be. It's like these guys are nuts. Or then you come from the perspective of like actually covering the business, where you know all the ins and outs and what's going on and all that stuff, and it's just like this is just wild. This is wild to know. Some of these men are con artists. What's going on? Like all this stuff. So no, wrestling is a lot of fun, and I think Dynamite was a lot of fun this week. Marcus, is your Twitter a lot of fun? How do they follow you if you think it is fun and you want to promote it?
Let me tell you something, Dominic. My Twitter is absolute fucking gangbusters. It is good times over there. You can see my Twitter and follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo. Go ahead and set the notifications. I say interesting things. You're probably going to want to hear them.
If someone slides into your DMs, what will you say to them? Or what will you send them?
Those DMs are wide open. Come on in. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk any and all things. I'm game.
Okay. Do you have an OnlyFans?
I don't. I should get an OnlyFans, Dom. I should get a cameo.
Yeah.
Cameos. I would charge $2.50.
Wow, that's a good deal.
I feel like it's a screaming deal, Dominic.
I wonder what the minimum for a cameo is on.
It's probably greater than $2.50.
Dude, I want to set up a cameo. I don't know if you have to like technically be a celebrity for you, like, or we could just do it. Who would buy a cameo?
I'd be like, hey, thanks for this cameo. I can now go buy some hard-boiled eggs from Sheets. So appreciate that.
Marcus, how interesting is your Twitter right now? Now that the Cowboys are out of the playoff, they're done. What are you going to tweet about now? Like, where is your wit going to be impeded on?
Well, Dominic, I'm glad you asked, because I did your classic move where I really lean in. I'm glad. Yeah, you love getting close to the camera. I'm glad you asked, Dominic, because I am going to be starting a podcast, which we mentioned on the live program there with Kevin Kellum last week. I think I said should be around a week from now. I'll get started. Let's give it another week there, folks. Settle down. I'm doing a podcast called WCW Rewritten. I'm going to be starting at Starrcade 1997, where things kind of started we started to see some of the phrase there in WCW. All in all, a good program. All in all, great matches set up. But execution was lacking. And from there on, obviously, we still had some great moments, and I'm going to preserve those great moments. Chris Jericho turning heel, masterfully done. Goldberg, clearly masterfully done. So stuff like that, I'm going to keep. But then, surrounding that, all the stuff that could have and should have been done, I'm going to do.
It's going to be like the Marvel What If series.
Exactly. And, I know what you're saying to yourself right now out there, loyal listener. You're saying, well, Marcus, what about when Scott Hall had to go to rehab? What about the injuries suffered by Rick Martel that sidelined him? And you know what I have to say to that? Never happened. We're not doing.
You're not going by that.
Nope. We're doing best case scenario for everything. Am I using hindsight? You bet your sweet ass I'm using hindsight, because we're about to have some fun.
Well, we're gonna have a real hoot nanny. It's gonna be like We're gonna party like it's WCW Saturday night, baby.
Now let me sell like a Nitro party where the Nitro.
Oh, there you go, even better.
With Mean Gene. And let me say though, I'm saying I'm going to use hindsight to my benefit. That doesn't mean that I'm going to say like, and here comes John Cena 4 years before he should have. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to try to stay realistic here. I'm also going to say, like, hey, look, if I'm bringing a talent in, I'm not going to just say like Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming in because we're just having fun and this is fantasy. No, no, no. If I'm bringing a talent in, it's because I know that during that period of time, they were legitimately available and working the indies. Folks, it's going to be one hell of a ride, and you can be part of it probably next week. I'll start.
You're good. Okay. Well, yeah. We'll just tune in to the go. This is how you do it, folks. You just go to the WrestleZone podcast, type in WrestleZone. We just pop right up on your podcast listening device of choice, and there you go. You'll see that. You'll see plenty of interviews that we got. Who did we talk to recently? I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. We had I can't think of it. I can't think of a lot of people right now. But the year just turned, so we're gonna re-rotate that in. We're gonna have the gimmick attorney Mike Dawkins, who I talked to from Ad Free Shows. Going to be a very fascinating conversation to listen to as we discuss independent contracts, creative rights for wrestlers. A lot of neat stuff we touch upon in that. Recently too, I'm trying to think of the new recent. If you haven't yet, tune into my interview with Arne Anderson. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done. Arne's great, such a smart dude, and really talked a lot to the business about the presence of Sting and Cody. We just put an article up on Cody and him talking about that today. So take a look at that. Yeah. Oh, the Best of the Business series. This has really been good with our managing editor, Bill Pitchard. He always does a good job with this. We talked to MLW CEO Court Bauer about his how MLW weathered the storm when it came to COVID testing. How they were the real first ones to really put things to a stop and take those precautions. A perfect example was they're in Philadelphia for their show on February 2nd. And there was already, this was before COVID struck. COVID really started hitting in March. They already were taking the precautions of like, hey, no handshakes, Purell stations here, and no hugs or nothing like that. Signs are up all over the place. So they were already on the ball with that. And that's what we're covering with Best of the Business. We also have an interview with Impact president. I don't know if he's president actually. He's at least EVP or something, is Scott D'Amore. So he's he'll talk. Bill talks to him. He also talks to what's the guy's name? Tommy Fierro, who does the '80s Wrestling Con. So that just different people in the business and the wrestling that really kind of make a landscape. It's a very different thing than like your typical year-end best of thing. So it's like different, more so. These guys these people that don't get the tip of the cap, they're getting a lot of tip of the caps here. So check that out. And always check out the WrestleZone wrap up with Kevin Kellum. And I showed up twice this week, and so you can't get rid of me like a bad itch. You cannot stop scratching. Follow me.
Very, very much like herpes. He shows up when you least want or expect him to.
That's right, Herpes D'Angelo.
Yeah, that's your gimmick name. Hey guys, also, we got a recommendation from a listener whose name I'm not going to mention because I'm not sure if that's something that she's interested in. But she had recommended to us, and hey, by the way, check it out because this is obviously you're listening to this because you're AEW fans. But Cody Rhodes Nightmare Factory Showcase on YouTube, go check that out. We've got some upcoming talent here and you can kind of get in at the ground floor. So I want to thank her for making that recommendation.
Oh, you could probably mention her. I think she'd appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Laura on Twitter. She's a listener and a friend. So yeah, Laura, thanks for suggesting that, and definitely make sure that you folks check that out.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else we got to do, Marcus? Is there anything else we're doing here?
I think that's gonna do it, man.
MVPs. Yeah. MVPs.
Oh my God! You ain't gotta get hot about it. You don't gotta shout.
MVPs. We got to pick our MVP for the show.
Yeah, I want to go with a guy who I haven't gone with yet to this point, a guy who shows massive potential, somebody that we've mentioned a number of times, and that's Wardlow. It's a good one. Did I agree with everything that he did this week? Nope. But he still put on one hell of a show, and man, what an athlete! Man, what a future AEW has with a guy like that on the roster.
I think that's a great one. Geez, you know what? He would be up there for me too. But you know what? I'll go with Ray Phoenix this week. I just think made the most of the moment. Just awe inspiring, like what he can do in the ring, and like credit to Kenny Omega too, obviously. But Ray Phoenix, this was his moment to shine, and he shined. He sure shined. So
absolutely, and yeah, Ray Phoenix is probably an even better choice than Wardlow, but I'm sticking with Wardlow.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's good balance because I really did think Wardlow stood out from a presence and everything like that. So no,
Yeah, but I mean, both got some national television time, and both of them took full advantage.
Exactly. So cool, man. What a show! It's a good. What a way to kick off 2021 here, Marcus. Huh?
And highs, lows, laughter, and tears. It was
Laughter,
one
tears,
heck of an episode.
Yes. Dynamite's been a lot of fun to cover. So we're happy we can cover it for you folks. And thank you for listening in. We see even if we don't like what I say every week, we don't get the feedback. That's fine. We don't need the feedback.
We know you're there.
We know you're there. We know you're tuning in, So all right,
guys. I was just gonna say, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Week after week, we really do appreciate it. We see the downloads and couldn't be more happy. We love doing this, love talking wrestling, and we love AEW Dynamite.
Boom. Yes, this is Herpes D'Angelo with his degenerate brother Marcus signing off. We'll see you next week.
All right, folks. Bye-bye.